Yo! Stop your grinning and drop your linen, because today we're playing Aliens, Another Glorious Day in the Core, the new Gale Force 9 board game of the excellent sci-fi film Aliens by James Cameron. This is going to be a tester game, really, just to show you how the game plays, what the components are, and take you through the first mission. So, really, without further ado, let's dust off and nuke it from orbit. So this is the board overview. As I say, we're playing Mission 1 first of all. This is Mission 1 Newt, the hunt to find Newt in Hadley's Hope. So we've got our board here. These are the player cards. We've also got the endurance cards and the motion tracker cards as well. But what I'll do is I'll show you some of these a little bit closer detail, and then we'll actually get on with the game itself. So this is the game board itself, made up of 4 separate boards. Each of these leading in and out with the different doorways and things. What we also have here is an exit. This is, we've got to get off here as soon as we can find Newt. Newt is going to be in one of these randomised blips here. We're not sure which one. You'll also notice as well there's doorways here, so we have to walk around and actually get into these rooms. These are the Marines. I've not yet painted any of these figures, so apologies for that, but they will get painted over time. But we've got our group of Marines starting off here. They've got to find Newt and then get her out of here. Trying to stop those, or hopefully going to stop those, are the aliens. And we've already got a couple of blips on the table as well. These are these white dots here. These have got numbers of aliens underneath them, so we're not entirely sure what they are. We've also got the starting off points. These will become apparent, but this is where blips start various points through the game when you draw cards for them. We also have as well a computer terminal over there, which we can use to try to identify one of these. We can flip that over if we do a tech roll, but we'll talk about that later on. We can possibly identify which one of these blips is actually Newt anyway. So it's a hit and run mission, really. Get in, get out, and hopefully survive. But let's have a look at some of the Marines and some of the other bits and pieces for the game as well. Well, let's take a look at some of the cards at the game itself. So what we've got the 6 characters. So who have we got here? We've got Ripley, of course, Frost, Vasquez, Hicks, Gorman and Hudson. These are your main characters. All of these can be played either as a grunt, as a hero, or as a grunt. In this case, when you're actually playing as a player, you will take a hero side. These are all double-sided, just to show you. But when you're playing on your own, or with less than 6 players, then you'll use the grunt side of these characters. So, as I showed you there, on the hero side, they have a few more rules, a little bit extra bits and pieces here, but pretty much these things at the bottom are slightly less. So you've got the movement, the defense, the melee, their tech and their aim scores. They're slightly lower as grunts. One other thing is, so in this case I'm playing single, so I'm playing solo, should I say. I'm playing with Ellen Ripley as her hero side and everybody else as a grunt side. So what happens is you will take a turn with the heroes, all of the heroes take a turn, then the grunts get a turn as well. However, there's a slight difference. Some of the heroes, where they're on the hero side, so like Gorman for instance, they have a command level. So Gorman, Lieutenant Gorman, he has a command level of 3. So that means during his turn, he can actually command up to 3 grunts as well. So they don't have to wait until everybody else has played, so he can basically get them to do things. Also, you'll see as well each one of them have these cards around them. So this is from the endurance deck. These are mostly equipment cards and weapons cards in this case. I'll talk about the endurance deck in a second. But you basically equip everybody with weapons and equipment at the start of the game. Whatever you will choose to give them, you can give them, as long as it's within the deck, of course. So, for example, Hicks, I've given him a pulse rifle. He also has a motion tracker, and here he's got an M4 helmet as well. So each character whether it's a grunt or a hero, can carry two weapons. So one main weapon and a backup, except for there's some exceptions. I'll talk about those in a second. And also two pieces of equipment, and you basically fit them in against the cards here. Now, some people can't carry a second weapon. That's because they're carrying something like a bulky or a cumbersome weapon. You can only carry one weapon there. So, for instance, Vasquez has got her M56 smart gun, the massive gun you see her using in Aliens. So she's got this. You can't carry a backup weapon with this because she needs both hands for it. So she only has that, for example. So that's basically the card set out. Oh, one other thing, these things here, these are the aim dials. You'll see these are already set on the aim number that the character has. This is used during the game. When the Marines fire, the characters fire, they will have to hit, they have to roll under the number that currently their aim dial is at. Every time they fire, that aim dial goes down. So the more firing you're doing, the less accurate you're getting. You're rolling for this on a D10. So starting with a 6 is quite an average number, but obviously after 6 shots, you are then going to be down to 1. What this also means, what happens is then at the start of every new turn, you reset the dials as well. So they start straight away back up to their aim shot as well. So anyway, this, as I say, all these cards have come from the Endurance deck. Let's have a look at that, and I'll talk about that now, and then we'll probably start the game. So what we have here are the cards themselves. I've already mentioned that we've equipped the grunts and the characters with equipment cards. So for instance, the pulse rifle or the M4 helmet, for example. Now, these have come out of the Endurance card deck. So you have a finite amount of Endurance cards. So the more that you equip your Marines at the start of the game, the fewer cards you have in this deck for when you're playing. We'll talk about this in a second, but first of all we'll look at the motion tracker deck. And what we have here is basically each card. At the end of each turn, you will draw a card for the aliens in the aliens turn, and this shows you exactly how many alien blips appear, and also whereabouts on the board they appear, and any other information that comes with them as well. So this is the top one. In the first mission, we don't draw these until turn 3, so the Marines get a bit of a break at least. But so it shows you here how many blips there are. So this is 1. This is the location. This is just the flavour of the card. And then also we have a bit of information below as well, which may affect gameplay. So for instance, in this one, we either discard a barricade in play, or we place a second blip. If there are no barricades, then we place a second blip. So this is how this works, and then once that has fired its blips out, we basically discard it and it goes into this area here. So that is very simple. You do that at the end of every turn. Now over here we have the Endurance deck, and as I say, this includes equipment, it includes events, it also includes hazards, so there's all kinds of things that come out of part of the game. And this is also where we get all our costs and all our exhaustion from. So what we have here, for instance, the pulse rifle. If you have a pulse rifle in hand and you want to give it to one of your characters, it costs you this amount of money, this amount of cards to equip it to a character. So this one costs 3, for example. The M4 costs 2. Some may cost 0. There may be free actions, that kind of thing. But it's an action to equip a character with this cost. And you pay the cost by exhausting cards. 1, 2, 3, for instance. If you were wanting to give somebody a pulse rifle who didn't have one, if you wanted to hand it over, you'd exhaust 3 cards. Also, if you look here as well on the card text, it says exhaust a card when you take an attack action with this weapon. So every time that you fire with this, you will exhaust a card. And the cards, when they're exhausted, go face down like this. Very simple. Now, sometimes you can recycle cards, and the way you recycle cards is you take them out of the exhaust deck. So let's say you can exhaust 2, you want to recycle 2 cards, you're allowed to. You take them and then you place them below this reshuffle card. So they go down there, underneath, and then sit there. Also, some cards may get discarded. and if that's the case, they then go into the discard pile and they go face up. These will not come back into the game. You will exhaust things from the endurance deck first of all. If this is empty completely, then you'll start to take them from the exhaust deck as well. And once you run out of both endurance and exhaust deck cards, then your game is over. You are literally finished, man. Game over, man. It will end the Marines mission in failure. So that's basically how the cards work. They're pretty simple. Sometimes, one other thing to mention as well, yes, some equipment or occasionally cards will ask you to actually reveal a card. So if you fail a defense roll here, you reveal a card. You basically draw a card from the endurance deck and match it up to the symbol that it says on the card. In this case, a yellow star event means nothing, so you ignore it, and then you will put the card that you've drawn, that you revealed, again to the bottom of the endurance deck, like that. And it's pretty simple. As I say, you've got to keep a check on this, because the more equipment that you give out at the start of the game, the fewer cards you have in this deck, and also the more firing you do, you soon burn through these, and you're getting closer to losing the game. Right, well, I think we're ready to play. So what I've done, actually, I've just gone through some of the cards and I've swapped a few bits and pieces around, but basically I've started with what I showed you a little while ago. So this is mission 1, Newt. We've got to find Newt. She's here currently on the edge of the table. We've got to find her. She's either one of these 4 points here. We're not entirely sure which one, obviously, at this point. So we've got to flip one of these blips and see if it's Newt. We've got doors here which are blocking line of sight. These will be flipped as soon as a character steps up to the door. So we've got Ripley as our character, as our hero, should I say, and we've got everybody else as a grunt. So I've got Ripley here, and it says straight away, on activation, recycle 2 endurance cards and draw a card. We've got no cards over here, as you can see, in the exhaust pile, so she's going to immediately draw a card anyway. So it's an event, do something, Gorman. Then we reveal a card, and then this shows us what happens when we reveal those cards depending on the colour of the card. So I'll just read this out for you. So if we reveal a green and an armour, we set a character's aim dial to that character's aim number, so that means it goes back up. She's already on 7 anyway. If we reveal a yellow card, which is equipment, we stand up any one wounded knockdown character. There are none. And if it's a blue, we can discard any hazard cards on a character. So actually, none of these affect anything at this point in the game. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw the card just to see what it is and see what would have played out. It's an equipment, it's a helmet, so that means it would have been set a character's aim dial to that character's aim number. We already do that anyway, but this goes to the bottom of the endurance deck. This is discarded because the event is played out, it's done. And we go on to Ripley herself. She can exhaust a card at any point to choose a character within 4 spaces of Ripley, and they can re-roll for a failed defense roll. Fortunately, she doesn't have any cards in hand because we just played it as an event, but she now has her 2 actions. She can move up to 5. She has a speed of 5, so this is what she's going to do. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 action. 1, 2, 3. This means that this door then opens. So we flip this token, and what you know, it's Newt. That's great. So we replace that there. We've got Newt now, so we can actually get rid of all these tokens straight away, because we know, just to show you, these tokens are just numbered. So there's Newt as well. There's a Newt token, so we can get rid of that. That's probably the best thing we could do, really, is to get Newt into the game straight away. Now Newt needs to calm down. We need to roll under a 4 on a marine dice, so on the D10 basically. This is Newt's card. I'm just going to put this to one side because she will calm down at some point. Otherwise, on her activation, she moves away from any character who is a marine, but who is not Ripley. So she won't move away from Ripley if I don't move any marines towards her. So I'm not going to move any marines towards her. However, I'm going to now start working on the grunts. because Ripley can't do anything else. Well, she's got 2 more spaces she can move, so I'm going to go 1, 2 and move her up to Newt and try to calm her down in her next activation. So we've got the 5 grunts now. These are going to basically spread out and cover the area. So I'm going to put Vasquez 1, 2. She's just going to move to here, covering this area and down here. These 2, this is Hudson and Hicks. Sorry, no, Hudson and Frost. They're covering number 1, because hopefully Ripley and Newt are going to get out of here ASAP. Gorman, I'm just going to leave him where he is. And then we've also got Hudson, who is going to come and step here. So we've got a line of sight down to this door, ready for when these aliens come round, all these blips. So that's it. That's the first turn over. So we now look at any characters that do anything at the end of activation. Newt does, but she's not part of our team yet. The rest has their grunts, they don't. Ripley can't do anything. Nobody else can do anything really. I could have used a motion tracker, but the blips don't start to come onto the board until turn 3 anyway. So it's a case of there's not much point doing that. I may as well just leave it and use it later when we get towards turn 3, so we know what's coming. So we go over to the blips turn. So blips move 1 alien dice worth of movement points. If they turn into an alien, they carry on moving up to 6 for the rest of that turn. They'll turn into an alien when they're spotted, and as I say, as soon as they open doors, they see line of sight. So what we do is we roll our dice. So these are only moving 2. So we've got this one, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, it doesn't really say in the rules about going round corners. I think the blips can cut corners like that because they're aliens. I would say the Marines have to step in front of the corridor, in front of the door, and then move into it. I just think that's a bit of an easier way to do it. There are no reveals because the blips didn't get anywhere near the Marines in this turn, so they only moved 2. So we go back to the Marines' turn. Okay, so Ripley has 2 actions. Her first action is going to be to try to calm Newt down. She needs a 1 to a 4 to do so. A 4, she's done it, she's calmed Newt down. Newt now joins the team. And what happens with Newt is it says passive. When Newt takes a rest action, you can recycle an additional card. At the end of activation, she exhausts 2 cards to move a character within line of sight 2 spaces towards her. So that's quite a good thing to have. However, I just forgot. Ripley, on activation, she can recycle up to 2 cards, but she also draws a card. The card she's drawn is bypass equipment. It says action. While in a space next to a computer token, you may exhaust 2 cards to take a tech test. If you pass, barricade or unbarricade any door. So that goes into Ripley's hand. So now Newt is controlled by the player, or me, and she can then move. So she moves up to 5. You can move through characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll bring it to there. And then we'll bring Ripley up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is her action. And we're going to use Newt's action of exhausting 2 cards. Oh no, sorry, that's the end of Newt's activation, so she can't actually do anything. She can't move Ripley forward. I should have moved Ripley first, but I didn't in this case, so game over. Right, we're back again with the blips. So same again, we roll our d6. It's 6 this time, so that's their full move. So they will be revealed because they will just move towards the closest Marine. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 to there, and then they've got 2. That one's got 2 more moves. So we pop it open. It's got 3 aliens on it. So we take 1 alien figure. We take 2 of the extra alien tokens, and they go underneath that one there. And as I say, it has 2 moves, 2 extra moves remaining. So it will move 1, 2 and attack Hudson. Hudson is wearing armour, body armour, so he may survive this attack, but let's just see. So now we have the defensive fire. So any character within 4 squares and line of sight of an alien can fire at it. So at this point we've only got Hudson and Vasquez. So they're going to fire their normal attack, which would, in this case, would be we have to exhaust a card for Hudson's pulse rifle. However, it's also got full auto, so every time it hits, he can fire again and continue firing. So, but every time he fires, his defense his tracker is going to go down, so it's going to make him be harder and harder to hit. The first shot is under a 6, then under a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. Vasquez has she has the M56 smart gun, which fires a lot more, but actually does a lot more damage. But we'll move on to that once we've dealt with Hudson. So his first shot, 6 or less, because his aim tracker is already on a 6. 7, so he's missed, but we have to exhaust that card. We just take a card, put it face down, and that's it. He doesn't get another shot, so that drops down to 5 now. And then we have Vasquez. She's firing with this M56 smart gun. Normally she would exhaust 3 cards every time she takes an attack with it. However, because she's Vasquez, she only has to exhaust 2 cards. So we'll do that. 1, 2 first of all. So this is her first shot. We're firing on a 6. We drop it down to 5 anyway. The M56 gun rolls 2 dice, and she chooses the lowest of the 2. So the first shot is a 6 and a 2. So she actually hits with either of those anyway. So it makes no difference. So we lose 1 alien token. So doing all right so far. Because she hits, it's still full auto, so she can continue firing. So she's going to fire. You exhaust another 2 cards. So now she's firing on a 5. Reroll that. So we've got a 5 anyway. A 5 and a 7. This now drops down to 4. So that's taken out that alien there. And then again, full auto, she will still carry on firing. So she's exhausted another 2 cards, but now she's firing on a 4 or less. The star is a 1, so that's a hit at least, but her aim dial now is down to 3. So that's hit that alien and destroyed it and killed that swarm. However, we still have the other aliens to move, the other blip. So this is moving at 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That appears there. It is only 1 alien, so that is 1 square away from them, thankfully, and it can't get to them this turn. So that was pretty good shooting from Vasquez. So we're back to the Marine's turn, and this is turn 3. So now we will start drawing motion tracker deck cards at the end of the turn. However, we've got the Marines and the Marines to move first, so let's get Newt as close to that exit as possible. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because she has 2 moves of 5. Ripley will also move her full. She will actually also exhaust 2 cards to move a character, Ripley, 2 squares towards her. So that's Ripley has been moved by Newt. Ripley will now activate. She draws. She can recycle 2 cards. So we get these 2 cards from the exhaust pile, put them underneath the reshuffle, and then she also draws a card. And her card is an M4 helmet. So we'll put that in with her hand. So it's Ripley's turn. She's moving at 5. So she will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she's at least pretty close to Newt. She's also got an eye on number 4 spawn point and number 2 as well. We've got the rest of the Marines to move and fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start moving them as quick as they can over this way. So we've got Gorman. He's moving at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We've also got Hicks here. He is moving at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We also have Frost, who is also moving at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got Vasquez, and we've also got Hudson. But before we do that, we're going to use the motion tracker to take a free action. This is, we draw a card. We, depending on what comes up, if we get an equipment or a yellow star, we get to look at the top 2 decks of the motion tracker deck, and we can place one of those cards on the bottom of the motion tracker deck and the other card back on the top, so we can actually decide where the aliens are coming from. So draw this card. The card is a weapon, however it says exhaust card if we draw a weapon. So that goes into the exhaust pile. That was a free action. So Vasquez is going to start. She's reset her dial to 6, her aim dial. She's exhausting 2 cards to fire the gun, the M56, 2 4s. So both of those are below what she needed. So that takes that alien out. And that means she still has another action, which is a move. So she will go 1, 2, 3 and join the crew back here. Hudson also has his full 2 moves, but before he does that, we're going to use his flare to see what is in the motion tracker deck. I don't know if you can see that, but it says a free action. You may discard this card to look at the top 4 decks in the motion tracker deck. You may place one of those cards on the bottom of the motion tracker deck and place the rest of the cards back on top of the motion tracker deck in any order. So basically we can move around what the next aliens are going to do. So we can take 4 cards, and we have, let's have a look, we've got, these come out in number 1, Alien Vanguard. So that one we might hang on to because 1 is quite far away. We've also got another 1 there as well, because we are drawing from this deck in this turn. 2, we're all literally on 2, so I think I know which one is the one that's going to go at the bottom of the deck, and then another one from 1 as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the two blips at the bottom of the deck, and then just work out which ones of these. So we've got exhaust 6 cards, and it's 2 blips. This is 1 blip. Players must discard 1 barricade in play, or place a second blip at spawn point 1. If there are no barricades in play, then you must place the extra blip. And this one is 1 blip, but it says reveal a card, place another blip at spawn point 2, and a hazard, place another blip at spawn point 1. Now, out of those, I think the alien drones is probably the least, because all it does, most of them spawn 2 blips. This one only spawns 2 blips anyway. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to do the Alien Vanguard because that may spawn a blip at point 2, where all the Marines are, and this one forces you to exhaust 2 cards and two blips anyway. So we'll put them in, I think, in that order. That's the best thing to do at this point. We've moved Hudson off. He's actually been able to move off because it was a free action to do the flare. So we go straight onto the aliens' turn. The aliens, because it's now turn 3, and in this scenario on turn 3 you start to pull the motion tracker blips, so we take our first one, and surprise surprise, we know what it is. It's an alien drone. It says players must either discard 1 barricade in play or place a second blip at spawn point 1. And if there's no barricades, we must place an extra blip. So basically we get 2 blips at spawn point 1. So here and here we'll just take these 2. These are automatically seen because they're in line of sight, so we'll just, the first one is 4 and the other one is 3. So thank God we're not start hanging around very long. So let's just set these up just so you can see what it looks like when it is set up. There's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 stack there. So we could arguably fire at those if we wanted to, but you don't get any gain for it in this particular point. So that ends the alien phase. So we go back to the Marines phase. We can recycle 2 cards with Ripley. on her activation. So I'm going to recycle 2 cards. Don't really need to, but I'm just going to do it just to play through the game. And then she also draws a card because it may be a hazard. It's M40 grenades, it's not, so that's okay. So she can get straight off the table. 1, 2, 3, 4. She's off on the exit. Then we'll activate Newt. 1, 2. She's off as well. And then literally everybody else is going to be able to get off because they can all move 4. So just to show you that. They are off. And they have completed the first mission. So that ends mission 1 of the Aliens game. Now we couldn't take this on as a campaign. We can move on. We sort out some of the cards. The discarded cards don't come back in. So the more that you're using up and discarding through the game, the harder it gets in the future. Also, it's going to be a slightly different scenario as well to move through. And you could also play the bug hunt in between as well. But this gives you a pretty good idea. This was relatively easy because Newt was up here in this top corner. Had she been in one of these bottom corners, as I played it before and she has been, it's a lot harder for the Marines to get out because as soon as you hit turn 3, you start pulling out these cards. And when the aliens are swarming everywhere, it can get pretty difficult. So it's really down to a run of luck as to where Newt is, a run of luck as to where the blips are. Also, even the blips coming around here attacking from this side. It's also difficult as well if there's a lot of blips coming that way and there's a lot of aliens in those piles if you're missing with the dice rolls. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. I will come back to Aliens. I've enjoyed it, so I've enjoyed the game, and I will play again at some point and probably continue this campaign as well. So keep an eye out for it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There is plenty of other gaming content on this channel. Please enjoy it at your leisure. If you don't mind, have a look at my Patreon if you like what I'm doing. Please just, a couple of quid a month helps every little bit. It helps me buy new equipment. And again, as I say, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. And game over, man. Game over.